Shouldn't there just be one government-mandated curriculum? You said there should be in the curriculum throughout the... So shouldn't we just have one blanket thing that everyone can follow?
So there needs to be this constant experimentation. I'm thrilled that groups like I Keep Safe and Common Sense Media and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and others, I'm just referring to the ones that I see in the room, are all developing curriculum material to which to some extent are going to compete, to some extent are going to cooperate, but collectively are going to provide schools with a lot of choices. I think the government can play a role in making sure that schools, A, know about these materials, B, have the funding, if necessary, to purchase the materials, those that cost money, and most important, schools have the understanding of how to use the materials, so the teachers are educated in how to actually incorporate these materials into the entire curriculum. That can be a role of government, but a one-size-fits-all approach, I think, would actually be harmful in the long run.
If you set a one-size-fits-all default for the population, there are going to be unintended consequences. One of which will be, if you set a default that said the entire internet and all set-top box devices and consoles are essentially giving you a G-rated experience, the problem with that is that a lot of people are going to get that device, try to make it work, and think it's broken. Consumer complaint hotlines would light up like Christmas trees with people saying, I can't watch an R-rated movie on my DVD player, or I can't get an M for mature game to play on my console. The point is that it's an evolutionary process, and I think we're going to continue to see a lot of battles about the default question. And what's most interesting about the default question is we're having a very similar debate in the field of privacy about defaults. And so I think this is going to be a tension that will be with us for some time.
I think a lot of people point to the EU as a model for various kinds of regulation and want to bring EU regulation over to the US. If you look at their data retention laws, it's up to the individual member states of the EU to implement that law. And we're starting to see a patchwork quilt emerging over there, which is what we would like to avoid here. 50 or 54 different regimes for data retention would not help law enforcement and would make running a national internet a lot tougher. So I think the report will have an impact in that people will recognize that education is probably the key component. But we can't ignore the law enforcement piece, and there's ways you can go about the law enforcement piece that make sense, and then there are ways that don't make sense.
That the best way to protect kids from content that's outside of the United States is to teach them how to deal with online content, teach them where to avoid, teach them how not to get themselves into a situation that they're uncomfortable, and teach parents how to use tools to kind of filter if that's what the parents choose, or monitor where their kids go. So I mean, there are some practical realities about content on the internet and about how the internet works that really has led this committee and again every other panel that's really looked at it to not recommend the route of more criminal law.